They mentioned billionaires, soldiers, or men with power. No one ever mentioned security guards, especially not Daniel Cole. Daniel was a single father of a 7-year-old girl named Lily. Every morning, he packed her lunch, braided her hair the best he could, and promised the same thing before dropping her at school. "I'll always come back for you." Daniel worked as a private security guard for Titancor Industries, one of the largest corporations in the country. The pay was decent, but the hours were long. Still, he was grateful. After his wife died in a car accident 3 years earlier, this job kept food on the table and hope alive. The CEO of Titancor, Marcus Hale, was a man the media loved. Powerful, brilliant, and touchable. To Daniel, Marcus was just another man who needed protection. They barely spoke. Marcus rode in black SUVs, held meetings behind bulletproof glass, and lived in a world far from Daniel's tiny apartment with peeling paint and unpaid bills taped to the fridge. But every day, Daniel stood between Marcus and danger, because that was his job. One evening, Daniel was late coming home. Lily sat on the couch, hugging her stuffed bear, eyes heavy with sleep. "You promised," she whispered when he finally walked in. Daniel knelt and hugged her tightly. "I know. Daddy's sorry." She looked up at him. "If something bad happens, will you still come back?" Daniel swallowed hard. "Nothing bad will happen," he said, forcing a smile. "But even if it does, my love will always protect you." He didn't know how true those words would become. A month later, Titancor received anonymous threats, emails, letters. One even mentioned Marcus by name. The board panicked. Marcus didn't. "I've had threats my entire career," Marcus said during a meeting. "This is just noise." Security was tightened anyway. Daniel was assigned to Marcus's inner detail closer than ever before. For the first time, Daniel saw the man behind the headlines. Marcus worked late, barely slept, and carried a weight that money couldn't erase. One night, Marcus noticed a photo tucked into Daniel's wallet during a routine check. "Your daughter?" Marcus asked. Daniel nodded. "Everything I do is for her." Marcus paused. "You're lucky," he said quietly. "Hold on to that." It was the longest conversation they ever had. The charity gala was supposed to be safe. High security, metal detectors, elite guests. Daniel stood 2 steps behind Marcus as they moved through the ballroom. Music played, laughter filled the air. Then it happened. A man in a waiter's uniform pushed through the crowd. Daniel saw it before anyone else did. The glint of metal, the raised arm, the gun. "Down!" Daniel shouted. There was no time to think, only instinct. Daniel stepped forward. The gun fired. The bullet tore into Daniel's shoulder and chest as he shoved Marcus aside. The impact slammed him to the ground. Screams erupted. Chaos exploded. Marcus was dragged to safety as security tackled the shooter. Blood pooled beneath Daniel's body. His vision blurred. His last thought wasn't of pain. It was of Lily. "I promised I'd come back." Daniel woke to beeping machines and white lights. His body felt heavy, broken. Doctors spoke in hushed tones. The bullet missed his heart by inches. "He's lucky to be alive. Recovery will be long." When Daniel finally opened his eyes, the first face he saw wasn't a doctor. It was Marcus Hale. The powerful CEO sat quietly beside his bed, eyes red, hands clasped. "You saved my life," Marcus said, voice unsteady. "You didn't hesitate." Daniel tried to speak but winced in pain. Marcus continued. "I watched the footage. You stepped in front of the bullet. You could have run." Daniel whispered, "It was my job." Marcus shook his head. "No. It was your character." Daniel survived, but survival came with a cost. He couldn't return to security work. His arm never fully healed. Medical bills stacked up. Disability payments barely covered rent. One night, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, staring at eviction notices. Lily did her homework nearby. "Daddy," she asked softly, "are we in trouble?" Daniel forced a smile. "We'll be okay." But he wasn't sure. What he didn't know was that Marcus hadn't forgotten. 2 months later, Titancor announced a major press event. The headline read, "CEO Marcus Hale to make personal announcement." Cameras flashed as Marcus stepped onto the stage. "I'm alive today because a man named Daniel Cole chose courage over fear," Marcus began. "He's not famous. He's not rich. He's a single father who did his job and far more than that." The crowd listened in silence. Marcus continued, "Titancor would not exist without people like him. And today, I'm making sure his sacrifice is honored." He turned. Daniel and Lily were escorted onto the stage. Daniel froze. "What is this?" he whispered. Marcus smiled. "Justice." Marcus announced that Daniel would receive full lifetime medical coverage. a permanent executive safety advisory role with full salary, a trust fund for Lily's education, and a new home, mortgage-free. The room erupted in applause. Lily looked up at her father. "Daddy, you're a hero." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. That night, Daniel tucked Lily into bed in their new home. "Did it hurt?" she asked. Daniel paused. "Yes." "Would you do it again?" Daniel kissed her forehead. "For you, every time." Outside, the world still spun with power and money and headlines. But inside that home, there was something greater, a promise kept. True heroes aren't the ones with power, they're the ones with something to protect. A single dad took a bullet not for fame, but for love. And love always leaves a legacy.